should know it by heart by now. The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. The public is invited to participate at the items marked on the agenda public comment. During that segment of the meeting, if you have a question or comment for the supervisor, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So tonight we have a public hearing, but before we get to that, I'm going to say please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all those men and women who sacrificed their lives to give us this opportunity to serve our country, our state, and of course our town. Thank you. Okay. Councilman Zambito wanted to tell everyone, sorry he couldn't make it tonight, but with the snow coming, he's out salting already, so pre-salting. So we're going to go into our public hearing. So tonight we have a public hearing on local law number 1 of the year 2023, law providing for partial exemption from taxation on certain real properties owned by enrolled members of an incorporated volunteer fire company or fire department serving the town of Marlborough pursuant to section 466A of the real property tax law and February 27, 2023, which is today. And so I have the floor open to anybody that has a public comment who wants to speak on this public hearing. Anybody? Okay. No takers? So I just need then a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Well, I have one comment.
Sure.
So when you reach the 20-year of service, then you have a lifetime of, this is for the firemen thing, right?
Yeah, as long as you're certified by the entity, which means the fire commission or whoever the fire department puts in charge of doing that certification. But they got to have the qualification, serve the 20 years, and then have that certification sent to us and signed off, and then you would have it for a lifetime, yes.
Okay, so my question is that starting from this point that the resolution is going in place, right? It doesn't from prior, so everybody starts from this gate, right? From this
I mean, their
point
years of
higher.
service, no. It's their years of service as of when they join the membership. The law takes effect as of if we pass this, but membership starts as the day that they became a member of their fire department. So if someone's been there already 20 years and they're certified by their commissioners that they
So
did
that
all their
accruals,
classes
that's
and
my
everything,
point.
that they
So-
could actually get it right now, yes.
So it's accrual then
Yep.
to the years. Okay, that's my
Yep.
question. I wanted to get that clarified. I don't know if the starting gate is not.
I'll just clarify, if you were in the service for 30 years, but you've been active for the last 3 or 4, does not qualify. This is to recruit and retain. Recruit and retain.
Right.
So it's not to go back and give to previous members.
Okay.
Which again, isn't fair, probably not, but again, it was passed in the state to recruit
Correct.
and to retain people in the fire service. So if you're there 18 years and you're still active, yes. A couple more years, 20, you're good.
Okay.
You have to be active today. You couldn't
Yep.
put 30 years in, been out for the last 2 or 3, and then it takes place and you're not eligible.
Yeah. Yeah, good
Okay.
point, Tom. They have to be an active member, but they will get their years of service that they have been a member. But again, yeah, you have to be active. So,
Okay, thank you.
good. So then I need the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So this was just so when we get to the resolution, because when I get to the resolution, I'm not going to read every single thing in the resolution. So I'm going to point out what the main things are in the resolution, and it's amended our Chapter 137 taxation. There's 10% exemption from taxation of assessed value Remember, it's just the assessed value of the volunteer's personal property. The enrolled member applicant of the volunteer fire company or fire department reside has to be within the town of Marlborough. The real property is the primary residence of the enrolled member or applicant. The real property is used exclusively for residential purposes, not commercial. If you have a commercial and residential in one establishment, you only get the 10% on the residential. The enrolled member applicant has been certified by the authorizing jurisdiction. The enrolled member of such company has a minimum service of 2 consecutive years of service to start the qualification. The governing authority shall certify eligibility for the exemption utilizing the official service records each enrolled member of the applicant, and that's done yearly. Lifetime exemption for members with more than 20 years of active service, and that's what Tom said, active service. An unmarried spouse or volunteer killed in the line of duty shall be entitled to continued and partial exemption as long as such deceased volunteer firefighter had been enrolled member of the volunteer fire company and fire department for at least 5 years. So they would have had to been enrolled in an active member for 5 years, and then it would carry on to their unremarried spouse. Unremarried spouse of deceased volunteer, so this goes to if the volunteer fireman is deceased, and then they would have to have 20 years of active service, and then it would carry on to the unmarried spouse. And a volunteer firefighter must annually honor before the acceptable taxable status date, file an application for such property tax exemption with the assessors responsible for preparing the assessment roll, and that would be in our assessor's office. So those are the main points of the whole legislation. So when we get to the actual passage, I'm going to read just parts of it, but not all of it. All right, so get to our agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Motion to approve the minutes from the February 13th, 2023 Town Board meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we don't say it enough, but thank you, Danielle, for doing those minutes. It's time consuming, I know, so thank you. Authorize payments of the bills in the amount of $132,467.88. I need a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Supervisor updates. The only thing I'm going to say is basically we're moving forward on all our projects. Tom Vac is moving forward slowly, but it's moving forward. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of building projects going on in the town itself. The Bayside project is moving forward. The Dockside project will start to get into the planning board. Mr. Pollock has started the Main Street project. He started Henry's expansion, and he started the spa expansion. So there's a lot of good things going on in town, and you know, we're doing our best. I know Rosemary's in the audience, and I know that we're still plugging away at grants and all the paperwork that goes with it. So thank you for all your help, and we just got another one from the county. Thank you to Legislator Corcoran, who's pushed for this for, I think it's $125,000 grant we could apply for to the county for parks and rec, and we're going to apply for that this week, and hopefully we'll use that. We've been talking about putting lights on our fields and things like that, so we'll look into that. So that's the only thing I'm going to talk about tonight. I don't have any presentations. Anybody have any comments on our agenda? Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
Supervisor and the town board members, the town of Marlborough Homes Company would like to thank you for your time and consideration in the matter before you tonight with your resolution granting the tax exemption for firefighters. I'm sure
Absolutely.
We'd like to thank you for all your service to the community, too.
Exactly. We didn't have you guys, what would we do? It wouldn't be a good thing. So we appreciate all the years of service, and there's a lot of people with 50, 60 years, and Bobby's one of them there, right? A lot of years of service to our community. That's a long time to devote yourself. getting called any time of the day or night to go out, so we thank you guys. So this is just a little something, right, that we can give back, so thank you.
Got a hand up.
Go ahead. Yeah, oh, that's right, Mary Beth. I'm sorry, I apologize. Come on up. Yes, I'm sorry. Mary, she has a little show and tell tonight. The Milton Library is doing a fundraiser, and I think it's actually really good fundraiser.
So, here we go. I'll just set this here.
Don't hit me with it now, Mary Beth.
All right.
So you guys all seen these paver bricks fundraisers that they do?
Yes, these
That you could put your name on it. Give one to Dave.
So good evening. Thank you to the board for letting me do this presentation. So my name is Mary Beth King, and I am here as the co-chair along with Artis Ketterer, who's not able to be here tonight, on the brick fundraiser for the Milton Library, the Sarah Hull Halleck Free Library. So what you have in front of you is the brochure. You may or may not know that the, well, you all know where the library is, but you may or may not know that the library was founded in 1888. We've had a library in this town since then. And the building, the historic portion of the building, was built in 1924. So next year, it'll be 100 years old. And the Hope Perkins Featherstone Annex was built in 1990. And in 1990, that was really the last major renovation of the library. So the town really deserves a more updated environment in which we can explore and learn. It's not a library is no longer a place where you come in and be quiet and shh. It's really a place to engage and to be a center of the community. So with that regard, and with Rosemary, of course, expertise in grant writing, we did get some grants, but the grants really do not cover all of the work. So the historic section the annex will become the children's area, and that will have child-sized furniture, and the circulation desk will be moved over there. It's going to be ADA compatible, and it will have child-sized shelving, and then the historic side will become the adult section. And we also received a grant from Assemblyman Jacobson for LED lighting. We'll have schoolhouse lights put in, so it's more in keeping with the historic nature of the building. But of course, the grants don't cover everything, and that's where the brick comes in. So we're selling the bricks as a fundraiser in the outside area where the alcove is. That's where the bricks will be laid. There's a rendition of it in the brochure. We have room for 1,000 bricks. There's an early bird special, so you can get one at a discount rate, $75 for the 4x4 and $150 for the 8x8. And you can inscribe anything of your choice. Of course, I guess, if it's in good taste.
Be careful what you say there.
Yeah, but you can put in a book or an author in memorial of somebody. So we're just asking to bring this to your attention to help spread the word. We would ask that the town board consider buying a brick in their name, and that you do so individually as well. So, so that's my spiel, and I appreciate your support. All right?
Thank you, Mary
Okay.
Beth.
When do they need to come back to you?
That's a good question. So Manny asked, when do they need to come back to us? So thank you so much. So you can order one online, you can send a check, you can go to the library's website and download forms. So there will be a delay, though, between when you order the brick and when you actually see it laid, because we have to get enough bricks. So Steve Riccio from Top Seed will be laying them down. Gail Appler is going to be doing some of the construction and creating the circulation desk. So all local labor. Dave Pulliam will be doing the electrical, and Michael Charter will be doing the painting. So it's really going to be spectacular. So anything you can support, we'd appreciate it. And the brick is really heavy. It's a solid brick.
It's heavy.
That's a solid brick right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be there. And truly, that is really what's nicest about this. It is a permanent tribute to whatever you put on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, all
I
right.
think it's a great idea. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. Oh, and I also want to thank the board for allowing us to set up a little display when you come into the town hall. So thank you for that.
No problem.
All righty?
We appreciate it. We just got to get that Christmas tree out of the way so you can put the blocks in.
Yeah. all right.
It's still there.
picture of it so I can put down.
Oh, here, take a picture of it. Yeah, there you go. All right, so thank you so much. And
No.
spread the word. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I apologize for forgetting your presentation. But yes, this is a great thing.
I love that.
It's going to look good there. All right, so any other comments on the agenda that I must have forgotten? No. Okay, so new business. So I just need to ask the board permission. I asked the Red Cross to do a blood drive. Well, they called me, and I thought it was a good idea for this Saturday here on March 4th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I just need a motion by the board that that's okay, so I could confirm.
Where's it going to,
It's March 4th, which is this Saturday.
Saturday coming up.
This Saturday.
Yep.
I'll make that motion to have the Red Cross blood drive this Saturday, March 4th.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
It's good. Where's it going to be?
What's that?
Where's it going to be?
Right here.
Okay.
It's going to be in this room. So anybody out there that would like to come between 9 and 1, the Red Cross will be here for donations. Workshop topics, this is open discussion by the town board. If anybody has anything they want to discuss, this is the time. I don't have anything specific tonight, so if anybody else has anything, we can discuss it or make it new business. Nothing?
I'm good.
We're good tonight.
I'm good.
It must be the snow coming. I don't have any correspondence tonight, which is a crazy one. That's unusual. And do we have any public comments?
I just have one question, and that is all the shale or debris, whatever you want, that's being trucked over to, is that Mahoney Road? Like, what will happen with all of that? It's so,
The one you're talking about, Mr. Pollock's
Yeah.
shale bit? He's going to be using it for roadways and different things that he's going to be building down the road. It's going to be probably for the base also, probably for his project he's building right there on Main Street too, and the different projects. So he's going to utilize it all. So it's cheaper for him to do that than it is to actually, later on have to purchase it again. So yeah, just kind of like what Bayside's doing up there too. They got a machine and they're grinding the rock down, and they're going to be using it for the bases of the roadway. So it's kind of a similar thing. So now how long it's going to be there, I don't know. If it's there for too long, then yeah. If it's there for much longer, then I guess the code enforcement officer might have to make a call. So, but that's what his plan is, to use it for his projects. So, anybody else? Okay. This is good. Resolutions. Resolution 36. So, last meeting, we accepted a resignation letter as of tomorrow. It's going to take place, of Sergeant Pascal as a full-time officer. The good thing for us is Sergeant Pascal is going to stay as a part-time officer. In order to do that, he needs a break-in service of at least 24 hours. So, here's Resolution 36. And Resolution 36 to appoint a part-time police officer officer, Supervisor Corcoran proposes the following, whereas Justin Pascal retired as a full-time police sergeant effective February 28, 2023, and now therefore be resolved that Justin Pascal be reappointed as a part-time police officer effective March 2nd, 2023, and moves for its adoption.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Chief, once this is in effect, does Sergeant Pascal report to you for his day-to-day duties, or does that come from the school district?
Nope, he's still an employee of the town of Marlborough Police Department. He's going to report to me for his assignments, which will be the school district. But he's still available to work the road and like any other police officer.
Okay, yes.
Councilman Cowkey?
Yes.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes. And thank you, Justin, for continuing to serve for the town. And resolution number 37, to adopt local law number 1 of the year 2023, providing a partial exemption from taxation of certain real property owned by enrolled members of the Incorporated Volunteer Fire Company or fire department serving the town of Marlborough pursuant to section 466A of the real property tax law. Supervisor Corcoran proposes the following, whereas a local law was introduced to be known as Local Law Number 1 of 2023, entitled Local Law Number 1 of 2023, a local law providing for a partial exemption from taxation of certain real property owned by an enrolled member of an incorporated volunteer fire company or fire department serving the town of Marlborough pursuant to Section 466A of the real property tax law. Whereas a public hearing in relation to local law was held on February 27, 2023 at 7 p.m. prevailing time, and whereas notice of said public hearing was given pursuant to terms of provision of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, and whereas said local law had been on the desk of the members of the town board of the town of Marlborough for at least 7 days, exclusive of Sunday. And this is now therefore be resolved that the following local law is hereby enacted. And these are the things I said that earlier that I'm not going to read every line of. I just gave you the bullet points, and this is pretty much all of it. Unless a board member has any further questions about that, I'll explain more, but if not, I'm going to go down. I better read this. So Section 6 is effective date. This law shall become effective upon filing with the Office of the New York State Secretary of State in accordance with the Municipal Home Rule Law. Resolved, the town clerk shall file a certified original of this local law in the Office of the Town Clerk and one certified copy in the Office of Secretary of State, State of New York. Such certified copy to have attached thereto a certificate that contains the correct text of the enactment of this local law. The foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote, which resolved in the following.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Cowkey?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thank you to my deputy supervisor for all his help with this. Did a lot of research for us, so thank you, Gail. Resolution number 38, to introduce local law of the year 2023. So we're introducing a local law to amend Chapter 67, local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York. Building construction, Article 1, administration and enforcement, Section 3, code enforcement officer, inspectors, granting the code enforcement officer the authority to issue summonses for parking offenses as defined under Chapter 145 of the town code. Being enacted that the town board of the town of Marlborough and the town code is amended to read the following. Section 1, purpose, the local law is to enact it for purpose of amending the town code to provide a code enforcement officer with authority to issue summonses, parking offenses, and defined under the Section 145 of the town code. So just to give you a background, this all came about when Jerry, Chief Kokoza, myself, and Tom met to go over summonses and traffic tickets. We haven't updated our traffic tickets in what, Jerry? 20 years? 20 years. So we actually pretty much ran out of tickets, and so we have to order new tickets. But the old tickets are so out of date that we had to update them to a more up-to-date ticket. And we wanted to actually change our code did not actually have the fines within the code, and we wanted to give the code enforcement officer a little authority to possibly, not always, but write some summonses, because he's always the one out in the hamlet mostly than anybody. And a lot of it too is like the snow removal. Everybody calls the office during the winter and says, how come people aren't clearing their sidewalks? And then Tommy could go up, and it's like we have a weird code that says you got 24 hours to get it off the sidewalk, and then Tommy comes back and it's still not, and all he could do is give him a ticket to come to court, and then by that time the snow's already melted. And so now if he comes back in 24 hours, he could actually write a summons and say, here's a ticket. So kind of that's how this went, and so we're just adding to this section his ability to do that. So to give him a little more ability to do some more work for us. So an extra set of eyes. Yeah, it's just an extra set of eyes. So having said that, we're going to amend 67-3 Code Enforcement Officer Inspectors. And I'm going to see, where's the one section? I'm not going to read all this because this is just introducing the law. But number 12, to issue some, this is what we're actually adding to the law. That's the only thing we're adding, is to issue summonses for parking offenses defined in 145-21 of the town code. So that's all what they will be adding to that section. So Supervisor Corcoran advised the town board that pursuant of the municipal home rules law of the state of New York, it will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this law. He offered the following resolution, which was seconded by Councilman
Molinelli.
Molinelli, who moved for its adoption. Whereas on February 27, 2023, Supervisor Corcoran has introduced the local law for the town of Marlborough to be known as local law number, and we don't know that till we pass it, 2023, a local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 67, Building Construction, Article 1, Administration and Enforcement, Section 3, Code Enforcement Officer Inspector, granting the Code Enforcement Officer authority to issue summonses for parking offenses and defined under Chapter 145 of the Town Code. Therefore, it be resolved that the public hearing be held in relation to the proposed changes as set forth in the form of notice hereinafter provided, in which hearing parties of interest and citizens shall have the opportunity to be heard and to be held at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, New York, on March 13th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Prevailing time, and the notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Marlborough by the town clerk at least 10 days prior to such hearing, and that notice shall be the following form. And this is the form that the clerk will use. Take further notice that the copies of the aforesaid proposed local law will be available for examination in the office of the clerk of the town of Marlborough at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested in citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard in said proposal at the time of the place aforesaid. So we're going to have a public hearing next meeting on that. And not only can you pick up this law in person, it'll be online also. So the foregone resolution was duly put to a vote, which resulted as follows.
Supervisor Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Kauke.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa.
Yes.
Thank you. And so this resolution 39 goes hand in hand because this is the actual ticket update. And introduce local law of the year 2023. Supervisor Cork proposes the following. The local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 145, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 8, penalties, providing the town board with the authority to set fines for parking offenses through the town of Marlborough fee schedule, and to provide the code enforcement officer with authority to issue parking summonses. Be it enacted the town board of the town of Marlborough, the town court is amended and read as follows. So again, we're updating Chapter 145, Vehicles and Traffic and Penalties. And in our current code, we're going to strike out what you see here, Every person accused of a parking offense in violation of the vehicle traffic law of the state of New York has the option of appearing in town court before the preceding town justice, or may use the mail by filing the official town of Marlborough traffic summons and remitting the minimum fine set pursuant to, and we're going to take out this section as follows, the town of Marlborough fee schedule effective adopted the town board. So basically, we're going to at the our reorg meeting where we do our fee schedule, we're going to have all these violation fines in there. That way, it's easily updated whenever we do it every year. If we want to relook at it every year, we could update it just at a reorg meeting instead of having to do this whole local law every time you change a fee. So you could see all the things that were slashed out, and these were all in our code book. It actually told you exactly what the fees would be. What we're trying to do is make the code just tell you what the fines are, which are these underlined ones: blocking of fire hydrants, parking lane, violation of snow ordinance, that's the big one, double parking. So these are all the fines that you can get, but all the fees will be put in the fee schedule. And then here, the section B, we added code enforcement officer to be able to do this. And effective date, this law shall become effective upon filing with the Office of the New York State Secretary of State in accordance with the municipal home rule law. Supervisor Corcoran advised the town board that pursuant to municipal law home rule of the state of New York, it will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this law. He offered the following resolution, which was seconded by Councilman Molinelli, who moved for its adoption. Whereas on February 27, 2023, Supervisor Corcoran has introduced a local law of the town of Marlborough to be known as local law number blank of 2023, a local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 145, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 8, penalties, providing the town board with the authority to set fines for parking offenses through the town of Marlborough fee schedule and to provide the code enforcement officer the authority to issue parking summonses. Therefore, it be resolved that the public hearing be held in relation to the proposed changes set forth in the form of notice hereinafter provided, at which hearing parties of interest and citizens shall have the opportunity to be heard and to be held at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, on March 13, 2023, at 7 o'clock. Prevailing time, and that the notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Marlborough by the town clerk at least 10 days prior to such hearing, and the notice shall be the following form. And again, that's the form. And take further notice that the copies of the aforesaid purpose local law will be available examination at the office of the town clerk in the town of Marlborough at the town hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, between the hours of 8 and 4 on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Therefore, take further notice that all persons interested and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard and said proposal at the time of place aforesaid. And again, it will be online to review before you want to ask any questions. And I just wanted to show you something though. This is what we're talking about here. So we're actually using, this was the Poughkeepsies, right, Jerry? Yes. So we kind of took their format and we're going to edit it for our format. And within the ticket, these are the codes. This is what we're passing here. These are all the things that relate to our code now. And the fines will be in our fee schedule per what we're passing tonight, so it won't be in the code.
The only thing that I just realized, so January 1, we set a fee. We had 5,000 tickets.
Yeah, we'd have to buy more tickets, right?
So every time we change the code fee.
Well, let's not do that too often, Jerry. When we get low on tickets, then you can. You don't buy 5,000 tickets, man.
But
Yeah.
if we make the fees more reasonable like they appear in there, and I'm not saying those are the fees, but if those are the fees.
Well, this is what Poughkeepsie charges, right?
Huge changes coming year by year.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not something that we change it that often. Obviously, the code's been the way it's been for many, many, many years, and it hasn't been changed. So, but it definitely due for a time for a change.
This format makes it crystal clear that if you pay your fine on time, it's obviously cheaper.
Right. The reason why Chief likes this is that. Right, the reason why the chief likes this format is it actually tells you, like if you pay it right on time, what the number is compared to after so many days. Now, again, this is just an example. That's not necessarily the numbers we're going to use, but this is an example. Yes?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dan.
Who determines the level of the fines?
Who what?
Process, you say, oh, this is going to be 150, this, who makes those decisions?
Well, the higher risk are
I understand, but who, but you could say 150 and 130, I mean, who seems arbitrary to me?
The numbers? You mean the fines you're talking about?
Yeah, fine, yeah.
In this particular example is what town of Poughkeepsie uses.
Yeah.
I'm assuming when the town board is ready to set this in stone, we will go to our surrounding towns and find out.
Yeah.
Now, how they determine their fee schedules, I don't know. But we can base ours off of theirs that we're in the round, and we're not either too low or absurdly
I mean,
high.
obviously, a fire hydrant violation should be more than, I'm just curious, I'm not trying to make away with that.
Yeah.
This particular numbers that you see there is exactly what town of Poughkeepsie has for violation fees today.
Yeah.
Whether those are our fees or not, that's a decision the board will make when we get closer to the time of printing tickets. But, yeah, those numbers are right now just for demonstration purposes, but they are Poughkeepsie's.
But I mean, let's say that Collins line,
Yep.
okay? Who would sit here and say, okay, so it's just like,
Yep.
do some kind of consensus?
Yeah, well, we make a decision. What we're probably going to do, if the board passes the code update, then the next step is to create the fines within our fee schedule, right? So then we would then look through I'll probably form a committee, probably be our police committee, more than likely, and we'll sit down with the chief, and what he says, typically what we do is we go to other surrounding towns and kind of say, what do they charge for these types of fines? And then we'll come within that ballpark. Now, like Jerry said, where did that original number come from? Someone could have just made it up. Someone could have said, well, they could actually really looked into it, say, well, it costs this much in administrative cost, this much in paper, this much in the tickets.
So, New
So-
York State law, a lot of these violations are under our town code. New York State law also has exactly the state violation, and there are minimums and maximums that
There is,
get set.
Yeah, there's definitely minimum
What they are for
maximums.
each one of these, I don't know at this point, but I can get that, and I'm sure when that time comes, that's something we'll take into account too. Usually, on every vehicle traffic violation, a judge has a book they can go to find out what the minimums are by state law and what those maximums are by state law, and then they look at the totality of the circumstances and they come up with a fine. That's how a judge does it for a regular violation. I'm sure that'll be part of the.
Well, there's state laws with state fines, and there's local laws with local fines. And the local laws, we get almost all the money. If it's a state fine, they get most of the money. So that's why a lot of times you'll see fines get reduced to certain codes that are local laws, because then the towns receive most of the money, since they're the ones doing all the work, so. But,
That's why they reduced the ticket, right?
yeah, I mean, this is, that's their side of the table, but they, there's different laws and different ways of how the money is collected and sent out, so. But again, yeah, once if we get through the code update, then we'll start on the fees, and we'll get it. But I just wanted to show you, I wanted to make sure the board, I know we sent.
Chief, does
This
your
is what we
police
kinda
department also give out summons, or are we just gonna rely on the code for
No,
us?
no, this is being done strictly, not strictly. This is being done because we are out of parking tickets and ours are outdated. So when we started this process, we thought at the same time, since we already paying the lawyers to change this law, that we should update it so that the code enforcement officer could issue some of these violations without having to call us not to his scene to deal with whatever he's dealing with when he can just write the violation.
So in conjunction with your department, he can and so.
These are all town code violations, so they just needed that other law change to include his ability legally to write these exact things. Now, if these were vehicle and traffic law tickets, he wouldn't have.
He
the
can't
authority
do
to write
those.
them. That's why none of these here are vehicle and traffic law sole violations. For example, when I originally asked the town to look at this with me, we were including uninspected motor vehicles, unregistered timeframes of length of uninspected, length of unregistered, and those fines would increase the longer it was uninspected. Well, that became an issue because the code enforcement officer, even if we made the law changes, can't enforce state law. He doesn't have the authority to do that. He can, however, enforce town code laws, which is why we're creating town code for every one of those parking violations. And because those parking violations are town code, with the change in that law, he now has the authority to do so. So in conjunction, we can do it together now, rather than the code enforcement have to call a police officer up to write a violation, which with a simple strike of a line, he can do himself now.
And you're okay with that, Tommy?
Sure.
Well, he's a code enforcement officer, he's enforcing the code, right? Now we actually can. Yeah, but, yeah, so we had that discussion with, and I mean, actually, Jerry, I had him directly talk to our attorney about that because that was one of the sticking points. We got to make sure that what we're passing is local law changes, not state law changes, because that can't be done by the code enforcement officer. There's strict rules what they can and can't do for code enforcement.
Understood.
So, James,
Does the ticket have to have the two prices, or can you just put on the difference between the two prices? If you pay on time, you get this reduction, as opposed to putting the individual.
the tickets could have basically anything we want on them. It's just that the chief likes this format, so that's kind of what we went. But yeah, we could put anything we want on there. We don't have to put anything on there if we don't want it either. We don't have to put no numbers on there.
We haven't come together.
Some, just that this is a format he likes because it clearly states to the individual what the numbers are based on if you pay it on time after 15 days or 60, 89, or 90. So it kind of breaks it down. So yeah, the answer to your question is you could do it any way you kind of want to do it. But the main thing is we got to get our codes updated to accurately match what the descriptions are. So, any other questions on it? Okay, so then I could go right to the foregone resolution was duly put to a vote, which resolved in the follows. Oh, right on time. See,
Supervisor
there's-
Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Kauki?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Ed, the beeping sound's telling us to get out of here, I think.
Yeah, I think
The
it's time to
salt are
go.
starting, so what do you got to say,
I'd
Ed?
like to make a motion to adjourn, and hopefully everybody gets home all right and safe and sound.
Need a
Have a great
second?
night.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Right on time. Let me just shut this off.
Hey, Bob.